Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the Money Pig. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. It's feeling good to be here with all of you guys on this Friday night. 3 weeks in a row where we just destroyed the competition. There's no other way to put it. There's no other way to frame it. Glad to be here. What's up, Malachi? What's up, Frankie? What's up, Steve Terry? What's up, Dominique? Brandon Peralta says money, money, money. Yeah, man, I mean, it's been a lot of money circulating through this show, circulating on Patreon the last 3-4 weeks. And this is about as hot as we've ever been, and I look forward to keeping it up. Now, we've made a lot of money through the years. Like you guys know, I don't have a regular job. I'm not like these other guys on YouTube who go work 40 hours a week and come home and bust their ass on YouTube. No, my job is betting. That's all I do. That's all I eat. That's all I breathe. And that's why this feels even better, man. It feels even better. And it's always great to come on and talk with you guys. And I will be honest, man, I think I have one of the smartest fan bases of any NFL show. And listen, you guys don't fall for anything. And that's what I like about it. I mean, for instance, on Instagram last night, I put up a poll. How many of you guys got the Jags? How many of you guys got the Saints with the spread? 67% of you guys were on the Jags. I mean, that's just one example. You can't be fooled, and I like it, man. So, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this week. Tasha says, Lawson, I really think the Vikings cover due to 49ers injuries. Well, you could say that. That's one I'm staying away from. I felt like we took our money from the Vikings, so to speak. We took our money from the Vikings last week when we bet them against the Bears when there was heavy money on the Bears. It's just I'm worried about the Vikings protecting Kirk Cousins in that game. And then another problem, even though that game against the Bears looked easy, my Vikings had about 4 or 5 drop passes, and it looked like they were missing Justin Jefferson a lot. And we know that Bears secondary is nothing compared to the 49ers. I just think that's a stay away game. I'm not touching my Vikings in that situation. Yeah, man. Yeah, man, David, don't parlay. I'm glad I could have a positive influence in your life and the stop the parlays. Listen, on Patreon, we're 4-1, 5-2 on teasers this year. I have nothing wrong with a 2-team 6-point teaser that equals out to -110. I have absolutely no issue with it. It's just these parlays that are manufactured by these big companies, 6-7-team parlays, I have a big problem with. And I'm glad you learned your lesson, and I'm glad you're making real money now. So glad to have you on board, man. Lamont, thank you, man. Man, thank you, Lamont. I really appreciate it, man. I think we're doing big things this year. I mean, we've been absolutely miraculous this year. And a lot of people are saying, oh, this is a down year for bettors. Well, I haven't felt it. I haven't seen it with this page, with this group. So, yeah, man, you know, in betting, there's going to be up and down weeks. But we've been riding this whole wave, and we've been at the top of the wave more than we've been at the bottom of the wave. So, yeah, man, it's been fun, man. It's been fun. Yeah, Ron, listen, man, Thursday night games, I'm not going to pound my chest about the Jags pick on Thursday. On Tuesday, listen, I did say if it was a Sunday game, it would be a money pick. And you know, I do irk myself a little bit for not betting it. But then again, I have to stick with our principles. I'm just not betting Thursday night games. And I said the same thing about the Lions against the Packers. I have to stay with some sort of principles. And it's not like I'm hurting for money with the 4-0 last week on Patreon. And that was a typical Thursday night game, wasn't it? Like, even though Lawrence was spectacular, even though we saw the Jags completely dominate the whole game, it still could have went to overtime and still could have lost. But yeah, man, 5-2 on Thursday night, but I don't want credit for that. I really don't want credit for that. Because we know how those games go. They're kind of like a roulette table at a certain point with how sloppy and beaten down these teams are. What's up, Vaughn? What's up, Mike Stacks? Mike, always great to see you. Always great to see you, Vaughn. What's up, Planet Wells? I appreciate it, man. Yeah, John, I'm really looking forward to this Lions-Ravens game. Can I tell you guys something? Just spitballing before everyone gets in here. I saw like a lot of people saying the Lions are the best team in the NFC. And, you know, if anyone should be saying it, it should be us. Who's won more money these last 2 years on the Lions? No one but us. I mean, we've been betting them. People been fading them, and it's been very lucrative, and we've done everything right. But I do think some of the Lions hype is getting a little bit hot this week. Like Michael Robinson on NFL Network was saying the Lions are better than the Eagles. Like, listen, I love the Lions. I love betting the Lions, but I do think some of the hype is getting a little bit out of control. And I just wanted to throw this out to you guys because it does make me a little bit nervous. And whenever you got the Ravens in this type of position, you do get a little bit nervous. Like, listen, I think the Lions win the game. I think they cover the spread. I'm not rescinding my pick. I'm not saying anything along those lines, but I am a bit nervous about that game. I am a bit nervous about it because we know the Ravens are really good if games get sloppy, ugly, and they're good at winning them. They are good at winning those type of games. Lions with some injury problems at running back. It looks like Gibbs will play. I'm fine with that. So as long as Gibbs play, I'm still firing on the Lions, man. Von Smith, what's wrong with a parlay? Is a 3-leg too much? I mean, I guess it depends what you're putting on the parlay. But listen, man, I talk about games from what I watch, and I try to watch every game of every week in the NFL Monday, Tuesday to prepare for the shows. So I watch a lot, but also like I do have a little bit of a mathematical brain, and a 3-leg parlay, it does limit your chances. Like, for instance, a very elite bettor. I know there's high expectations out there from people who just started, but an elite bettor is hitting 56, 58% of the bets. Just to give you an example. So you have a 3-team parlay with 3 spreads. You go 2-1, you should be celebrating. But if you put the parlay in the mix, you're not celebrating. So the parlays have a lower percentage to hit. Like, for instance, like a 5-team parlay against the spread has like an 11% chance to hit. I mean, we were 4-0 on Patreon last week with our picks. But if I would have made that a parlay to 5 or 6, I probably would have lost it all. I'm being honest. Even though it was a hot week, it was a great week. Parlays just aren't where it's at. And I want you to ask yourself, you live in the United States of America, the country which is all about making money and advertising. Why do they advertise the parlays? I did a whole video on this where I broke down the industry, but the parlays are how they make their money. That's how they make their money. That's how they give and provide for their families. And that's how the casinos are built. The casinos aren't built winning money off me betting the Lions -3 at the Bucs. You understand what I'm saying? And there's data and facts to back that up. I did a full video on it. Just type in YouTube John Lawson parlays. You'll find it. Raldy Mena, is Atlanta a good look this weekend? I like that defense, especially with the Bucs not having a run game. Raldy, you're thinking similar to me. I don't know why, but I absolutely love the Falcons this week, and I guess I have to explain why. For me, man, I watched the film of the Falcons and Commanders. Credit to the Commanders. They got a big punt return. They forced 3 turnovers on defense. Credit to them. Like, I'm not taking anything away from them. But that Atlanta offense was up and down the field. They gained damn near 400 yards. Sam Howell, them Commanders only gained 180. They completely dominated the game. Yeah, they clenched up in big situations. But when I look at this Buccaneers team, man, and the big reason why I said the best bet of the week was Lions against the Bucs on Patreon is because the Bucs get to 3rd and 9, 2nd and 11s, and they just can't seem to get out of this bugaboo. And you could have Peyton fucking Manning, you're in 3rd and 13, 3rd and 11. Your chances of good things happening are very slim. Let's be honest about it. And they have Baker Mayfield. I don't even think Baker's been that bad this year. It's just the running attack is poor. The offensive line is poor. And like you mentioned, Raldy, this Atlanta defense is great. I'm not saying they're great. Okay, they're very good, but they're great in the interior. Grady Jarrett and Calais Campbell win damn near every battle in that interior. So I think the Bucs run game is going to struggle again. And I know Desmond Ridder is absolutely terrible. Desmond Ridder is the reason why they lost against the Commanders, but he's been playing better. And I think the Falcons are able to wear the Bucs down. I think this Falcons offense spends a lot more time on the field than the Buccaneers offense. Like, it's going to be ugly, man. It's going to be like a 17-13, a 13-9 type game. But I do like the Falcons in it. And there's a lot of Bucs stuff. Like, there's a lot of people saying I didn't know ball because I picked the Lions against the Bucs. So I know picking the Falcons is going out on the proverbial limb. But I like the matchups. I think this Falcons offensive line needs to show up, man. And that's the big problem. When are they going to dominate a team running the ball? We know this Tampa Bay front seven is stout, sturdy, and really good in their run fits. But I think the Falcons are able to do more running the ball, and I think Ridder is playing with a little bit more confidence. Give me the Falcons. It is risky. It's no slam dunk. But I like the Falcons in this game. Campbell Jones, what's up, Campbell? What's up, Campbell? What's up, Matt McCray? Nice to see you, Matt. Always great to fucking see you, my guy. Rams -3 is this weekend's lock. I really like the Rams this week. I do. I can't disagree with you, Bedroom Bully. I like the name. I can't disagree with you. It's just, I do think we're getting at a point where we need to mention that this Steelers defense is absolutely terrible in the secondary. I do think we need to be honest about that. And I know Mike Tomlin magic can happen at any point, at any time. Ask the Baltimore Ravens. But with that being said, I feel like this Rams passing attack is like a lion in a cage or a silverback gorilla in a cage, ready to bust out and ready to go wild. That's what I feel like with this Rams passing attack. And I believe, I know Watt is always an issue. He was limited in practice this week. I think he's got a toe-foot injury. I still think without Cam Hayward out there, the Rams will be able to block him. The same people who were picking the Steelers against the Texans told me, oh, Texans aren't going to be able to block them. You know, they were able to, and they were able to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands quick. I think Stafford has a big day, man. I like the Rams in that game. I like the Rams in that game. What's up, Lauren? What's up, Mike? Mike, always good to see you, my guy. Always good to see you. Are you still in Arizona? Hello, John. What do you think of Ravens, Rams, Eagles? I'll be talking about those games as it goes on. I just talked about the Rams, Eagles. Like, I think the Dolphins win. I am a little bit nervous about it. I mean, this is a tough week. I mean, there is no slam dunks this week. We're going to be sweating, and I guess that's how we need to embrace it. But I think the Dolphins beat the Eagles. I'm a little bit worried about the Eagles secondary, and I know people are going to come on and tell me, Lawson, this Dolphins team has played fuck all. They haven't played anyone good in a long time, and the one good team they played in Buffalo absolutely just booty shake them or booty rock them, whatever word you want to use. I get it. It's just I don't think this Eagles defensive line is going to take over the game. Like, I think they're going to hit Tua, and obviously that is a concern. But I'm not sure this Eagles secondary is going to be able to cover people. And at a certain point, doesn't this Dolphins defense need to have a decent game? I mean, they haven't had a decent game all year. But I think the Dolphins have a better offense than the Eagles offense. And I know the Eagles offense is absolutely stocked. But at a certain point, man, I'm sure most of the money is on the Eagles, and I'm sure people think the Eagles are going to bounce back. But I think the Dolphins throw it all over. And I think Mark McDaniel, I think he's going to have a little chip on his shoulder due to what happened. What happened in that Bills game was absolutely embarrassing from a Dolphins perspective. But did it affect my power rankings? No. And the fact that it didn't affect my power rankings has helped this show, has helped all of you. I'm not going to get emotional about one game. I think McDaniel will have a better game plan this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. And then if we go watch every Philadelphia game, there's just something missing there. They've been subpar. They haven't found full rhythm. The offense isn't firing all cylinders. The defensive line isn't as good as it was the last 2 years. I am worried about the Eagles, man. I am worried about the Eagles, and I'm sure they're going to find their will. I'm sure they're going to find their rhythm. We just haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen it yet, man. What's up, RG? We're going to get to the Patreon questions. Ron says, think G-Man can win this week. I do. There is very little science from me. I just watched the Commanders against the Falcons, and I walked away unimpressed by that Commanders team. I got to tell you that, man. Let's get to the Patreon questions. Make sure you hit that like button if you're in the chat. Nice to see you guys help the algorithm. I appreciate everyone subscribing on Patreon. Bets will be up tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, 4-0 last week. Let's get this money, my guys. Carter Flowers. Okay, that's a question about Thursday night. Okay, you guys are messing up the thread, putting comments about Thursday night in the chat. Okay, Charles Kaiser, teaser bet, 6 points. What we got this week? Lions +9, Fins +8.5. Post on Patreon. I will, Charles. We will have a teaser this week. We've been good this year on teasers. We only missed one out of the 6 weeks so far. I will have a -110 teaser up. I'm still considering it, what I'm going to do. But I believe we have some good teaser options this week, Mr. Kaiser. Nice to see you, man. Che Yang. Come on, guys. Ask the questions in the question thread on Patreon. You guys are killing me. Lino Frosto, yo, Lawson, what's good? It's me, the degenerate Lino. How are we supposed to wager on the 49ers from now on? Should we be wary of the lines Vegas will be setting on 49ers games from now on? They had the Cowboys queefing the week before, then fell flat against the Browns. Also, who's getting butt smashed this week? Yeah, I do think we need to be careful about 49ers games. Like, I'm not going to stop betting them. Like, I didn't bet them last week, and I know a lot of people fell into the trap of betting them last week, but there were people on our show last week who said, listen, let's have some caution. Let's take a deep breath. Let's not pound this -10 49ers against the Browns. Credit to those people in the chat. And I was thinking along the same lines. I will be betting the 49ers. I'm just not betting them this week. Like Tasha said in the chat, like the injuries are adding up. They're on the road. I just don't want any part of that. Like, and especially when it's 6.5, 7 points. And here, I do think the Patriots get absolutely smashed this week, Lino. I don't think they're going to be able to cover the Bills, and I also don't see this Pats offense finding any sort of rhythm. That's who I think will get decapitated this week. Also, look out for the Packers offense this week. I think we could see them have a very disappointing game. Prestige. Thank you for the super chat, Prestige, $5. Do you feel like this is going to be a big week up the bats? No. listen, because there's a lot of variables in the games I'm looking at. I'm just betting the same as I normally bet. I don't see anything we're going to steal. Like, for instance, like when we got the Lions against the Falcons, Lions against the Bucs. I did say on Patreon, like, listen, this is my favorite bet by far. It's just I don't see anything we can really pump this week. There is one game, and I posted it early on Patreon, I will be going a little bit heavier on. But I don't think I'm going to like be pumping more than normal this week. No. Because there is a ton of variables. Because we know, we know how these games go. Like, even our Bengals pick against the Seahawks last week. Did we deserve the win? Yes. Did we deserve the money? Yes. But it was an absolute battle. And there could have been one bad call, one touchdown throw that would have changed the game completely. So, yeah, man, I don't think I'm going to pound anything this week. The bets are big as normal. But, yeah, I'm not going extravagant on anything. I have tried to make that somewhat clear on Patreon. Like, this is my favorite. I like it more than others. Yeah, man. And plus, like, listen, some people can't be responsible. I say go big. They go pawn their wife's wedding ring and kids' college fund and throw everything on it, So that's where we're at. Okay, let's get to Vaughn on Patreon. How confident are you in the Falcons upset pick? I feel good about it. Just last minute thoughts before I punch the money line. Well, I would take it with a spread anyways, because I don't think the plus 130 to minus 115 is going to change your style of living if you win it, Vaughn. But I do feel quite confident about it. I do feel like this Falcons team will make the bigger plays. I do feel like this Falcons team is due. And like someone mentioned in the chat, this Falcons defense is really, really underrated. And I keep going back to situational football. I really feel like this Buccaneers offense puts themselves in terrible situations. And I did mention it the last 2 weeks. I'm going to mention it again. Like, there's not too much you can do with 2nd and 9s and 3rd and 7s when you have Baker Mayfield. I don't even think Baker Mayfield has been all that bad this year, but I feel like the offensive line has been bad, and I feel like the coaching has been bad. When you look at Arthur Smith versus Todd Bowles, I trust Arthur Smith more than Todd Bowles. So I'm feeling pretty confident about it. I don't think I'll be betting it, but I do feel confident about it. And I do wonder why some of these people have come to my page the last 3 weeks and say we need to slam the box. I mean, I've thrown cold water on that every week, and I'll do it again. Next question. We got Quack. League wants more points scored, so refs ain't calling a lot on Thursday nights from now on. Okay. This is from Juanito 619. What's up, Juanito? John, what do you think about these two parlays? Browns -2, Browns under 39, Bills -9, and Chargers -5.5, Dolphins over 52, 49ers -7. Listen, the 49ers is a lot of points. The Dolphins-Eagles over 52. Like, listen, I think it goes over, but that's a lot of points as well. And we're seeing some weather situations. I assume you mean the Chargers plus 5.5. I do think they cover the game. But I like the first parlay more. Bills -9 is awful lot, man. But I do think the Bills kick their ass. I do think the Browns-Colts goes under 39. I don't like Baker Minshew's matchup. He was poor against the Jags, and the Jags did something very simple. They played press man-to-man, and they brought the safeties up to stop the run, and they let Minshew beat him, and he wasn't able to. That's what the Browns specialize in. They're the best man-to-man team in the league, so I think the game goes under, and I think the Browns win the game. I would bet the first parlay. I would not touch that second one. That second one is very dangerous, Juanito. Reggie Lawman, what's up, John? Thanks for the confirmation on my 13-point teaser last week. I hit it. Listen, Reggie, glad to fucking help, man. This is the 13-team teaser. This is the 13-point teaser I have this week. Let me know what you think. Lions plus 17. I like it. Hawks plus 6.5. I like it. Over 37.5. Eagles Fins. I like it, but could we find a better one than that? Like, listen, it'll go over, but it does get a little bit risky if one of those teams doesn't show up. Rams plus 11. Bills 5.5. Chiefs plus 8.5. Yeah, I would transition the Giants plus 17 instead of the over in Eagles Fins, Reggie. That's what I would transition there because, like, listen, I don't think there's going to be a lot of points in the Giants game. And I'm not saying the Giants are going to beat the Commanders or anything, but I think it's going to be a really low scoring game. Like, I see like a 17-10 game at most. So I think I would tease the Giants instead of the over on the Eagles versus Fins. It's just for risk reduction. I mean, when you do a 13-point teaser, you need the risk reduction. That's what I'm looking at, man. Okay, here we go. Cujo. Be careful for those who like Miami this week. In their last 5 games, 4 out of 5 of those teams have a total winning record of just 3 games in 5 weeks. The good team they played in Buffalo when they got smoked, take Philly this week. Listen, I understand the words of caution, but I feel fucking caution every time I put a bet on Patreon. Every video I make on YouTube, I feel caution because I have 20,000 people watching the videos, putting their hard-earned money up on these bats. Like, I understand, like, I feel caution about every fucking bat. There's no easy bat. I was sweating bullets watching the Lions beat the Bucs last week. So, I mean, yeah, man, I feel the caution. I feel the heat. I get it. Like, I get it, man. Dicko. Hey, John, what impact, if any, can you see the weather playing as a factor in Philly? Well, let's look at the weather report. I did the over-unders on Wednesday night, and I looked at the weather in each game. I didn't seem too concerned about the weather, but let's take a look at the updated weather forecast. Okay, let's go look at the weather forecast. The only weather it looked like that was kind of crazy for me was in the Seahawks Zona game. It seems like it's going to rain the whole game. Okay, let's look at the Miami Dolphins-Eagles weather. We got a humidity of 90%, 56 degrees. So they think it's going to rain. But it's saying partly cloudy. So I don't know, man. Okay, here's the weather report. 52.5 degrees, humidity 56%, wind 17%. Dicko, I don't think it's going to affect the game. I don't think it's going to affect the game that much. Weather can stay on a day-to-day, change on a day-to-day basis, but I don't think it'll have much of an effect. Nice to see you, Dicko, by the way. How you doing, Dicko? Yeah, Dave, I do drop the borderline money pick. And even on these Thursday night games, like with the Jags Saints, like I said, like, listen, if Jags was a different day, it would be a money pick. And I try to drop the borderline money pick because at a certain point, you guys have to be careful and it's your money. And yeah, man. And listen, I don't know how much money is transferred from my show to the bookies every week. Like, I don't know how much is back. I just know it's a lot. And, you know, I'm not some sort of like narcissist. Like, I don't want to see anyone lose money. And we know how hard this game is. And that's why we have to treat it with respect when we have 4 blistering weeks like we've had. So, yeah, man, like, I look out for you guys. Like, genuinely, like, man, like if I have a bad week or if something doesn't go our way, like I can have a 3-1 week and the one game I was hyping up the most didn't hit. I'm fucking stewing in the whole week. Like, It's just part of my personality. I know you got to be a quarterback, short-term memory, but yeah, I haven't been able to just like stay in the tunnel vision, and do that. All right. Okay, here we go. I'm having a hard time resisting the Dolphins this week as well. Listen, I don't know if I'm batting the Dolphins on Patreon this week. It's just to say go for Darwin. Like, I don't know if I'm batting them. Like, I don't know. And I've been thinking about it this whole week, fucking pacing across my house for like 30 minutes in a circle, thinking about if I'm batting the Dolphins this week. That's where I'm at. The other bets are more clear. Good question, Dicko. Okay, you Wazzo Ross, Lawson, let's get this money. I want to drop a bag on a 2-team parlay. What's my best 2-team? Can I send you a comment later? But I think we need to include the Browns in there. I think you can go Browns against the spread, Bills money line. I don't know if that's going to pay out what you want. That would be my first suggestion. It's not going to be the sexiest payout, but I think those two things will happen, especially if you're dropping a bag on it. See what I post on Patreon. I'll leave a comment for you tonight if I can help more. But yeah, man, let's get this money. Nice to see you, Mr. Ross. Ben John, can you give us some props and touchdown scorers you like for this week? Also, congrats on going 4-0 on Patreon last week. Big money. Nice to see you, Ben. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, I did write down some props. There are a few I like. So one prop I like is Kenneth Walker, over 71.5 rush yards, Seahawks versus Cardinals. Now, let me explain why I like it. Yes, the Cardinals blitz a lot, and they need a blitz to generate pressure. They can't rush 4 and get pressure. We all know that. I don't need to walk you guys through that. So when you blitz, it opens up run lanes, especially run lanes for big yardage gains. I think the Seahawks are able to run it. And, I know we won a lot of money with the Bengals last week, but we got to give the Seahawks team a little bit of credit. I know Gino wasn't able to make the big plays, but that defense came with a lot of force, and that run game was a force, especially in the first half against the Bengals front seven. That Bengals front seven is nothing to smug your nose at. So I think Kenneth Walker will have a big day against the Cardinals. They don't necessarily have the defensive tackles, the stout linebackers who can stop them, and I think the Seahawks need to transition more into like 2014 Seattle, where they run first, play action, sling it deep. So I think the Seahawks run it a lot. I think Kenneth Walker has a big game, and I think he's playing really, really good football. Now, there were some others, like I like Drake London, over 46.5 receiving yards against the Buccaneers. He's a big body. Arthur Smith designs a lot of plays for him, and we know the Bucs secondary is good, but if you were the Bucs defensive coordinator, think of yourself in his position. You're meeting with Todd Bowles, and you're playing Bijan Robinson in a very good offensive line. What is your strategy going to be? Probably put 8 men in the box, make sure the run fits are seamed up, and make Desmond Ridder beat you. And I think that's where this opens up. I really like that, man. So I'm with Drake London, the over receiving yards. I like Matt Stafford on the over pass yards. I forgot what it was. And also another one in that Cardinals-Seahawks game, give me Marquise Brown over 4.5 receptions. But the one I like the most is Kenneth Walker over 70.5. You saw I did my research today, my friend. So yeah, Puka, Lauren, I don't disagree with the Puka one. And yeah, Diggs was able to cover the prop that even with the Bills not doing anything on offense. So, Yeah, man, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at that Seahawks Cardinals game as an opportunity. So that's where I'm at, man. I hope I help, man. Brian DePaul, happy Friday, Lawson Nation. What's up, Brian? What game have you changed your opinion on most since Tuesday? What's your favorite buy low team right now? Thanks, Money Man. The game I changed my opinion on most is probably, let me look at it. I got to think about that. That's a good question. That's a very, very good question. The game I changed my opinion on most is probably, I'm a little bit nervous about our Chargers to cover. I will say that. I'm a little bit nervous about it. But the game I changed my opinion on most is probably the 49ers to cover because I'm not liking the injury situation. That would be the game I changed my thoughts on most. As for bad teams that I rate highly, I mean, we've had the Browns the whole year. I wouldn't say they're a bad team at all. But let me think. I like the Rams. I like the Rams. You guys probably know that. But I also think maybe this Broncos team can cover us some spreads. And I like their matchup this week against the Packers. I think Sean Payton's fighting for his job, and we know Russell Wilson is fighting for his job, even though he's guaranteed like 90 mil these next 2 years. So it would be those two teams to surprise. And there's some teams on bye weeks I really like, but I'll cover that question more in depth because that's something I really need to sit down and think about. Very good question, my man. It is tough being a Pats fan. I completely agree with you. But it's good they have some hardship, man. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Just going to take a drink of Diet Coke, and then we'll get back to it. Okay. This is from Prestige on Patreon. Lawson, kids aren't going to Ivy League schools after the 49ers college fun game last week. Well, I take no responsibility for that, but yeah, man. People were really pumping the 49ers. Everyone on the internet, I laid off of it. You saw it wasn't a money pick, and my hands are clean in that whole transaction. I don't blame anyone who bet the 49ers. I don't blame anyone who hyped that game up. But like I said, there was a reason why that wasn't a money pick. We were 3-1 on money picks again. So yeah, man, I'm happy I laid off that bait. Okay, Prestige says what I got this week is 8 plays. I'm trying to figure out how to split into 10 points, 4-team teaser. Okay, Lions plus 13, Chargers plus 15.5. Browns, Colts under 50.5. Dolphins plus 12.5. 49ers plus 3.5. Bills plus 1.5. Rams plus 7.5. Eagles, Fins over 41.5. Yeah. But you're trying to split those. You're trying to split those in two. I'm not quite understanding like where you need me here. Yeah, man, I would listen. The Browns Colts should go under 50.5. I just find like the over under is really risky in teasers. I don't know why. I don't have any evidence or stats to prove that. But, the Browns Colts should go under 50.5, and the Eagles Fins should go over 41.5. You do worry about a team not showing up, but you got to think the Eagles Fins, they're going to push that over 41.5. But yeah, man, I like it. Like I like the Rams plus 7. Like I like the Bills plus 1.5. 49ers plus 3.5. Like Dolphins plus 12.5. I like it, man. But I would probably like group the two over-unders in one grouping, if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, it's just Prestige. Leave me a question on Patreon. Just comment your post if you need me to go more deeper into it. Moneyline Repo, Lawson, brother, I'm back. Hope you've been having a great year so far. It's been marvelous. repo. It's been marvelous, my man. For 1K, do I take the Browns over Colts or Raiders over Bears? No, Jimmy, no, Deshaun. Browns over Colts. Take the Browns over Colts. We don't know who's starting for the fucking Raiders, fellas. We don't. So if you're putting that type of, I don't know if 1K is like $100 for a normal person. Like, that's about how much I bet every game. If I'm betting a game, I want to know who's going to fucking be quarterback. I've bet backup quarterbacks before, and we did it on Patreon this year, and we've won money. But we need to know who's going to play quarterback. So give me the Browns Colts. Give me the Browns Colts in that equation. Nice to see you, Tony. What's up, Tony? Nice to see you, my guy. Yeah, Tony, it's been a good ride with the Dolphins these last 2 years. Who would have thought, man? Derek, hey, John, which 2 to 3 games would you take off this 7-point teaser? Buffalo -1.5, I'd leave that on. Cleveland +4, I would leave that on. Baltimore +4, let me think about it. Seattle -0.5 point, let me think about it. KC +1.5. Philly +4.5. San Fran even money. Okay, I would leave San Fran there. I'm a little bit worried about Philly. When you look at teasing games, the best games to tease are with low over-unders, like a 43, a 39 over-under. You understand what I'm saying, Derek? So when you tease games that are like 51 or 52, where Vegas sets it at, there's a higher chance of variables happening. You understand what I'm saying, my man? So I'd probably take Philly off of there. Like, listen, I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a 3-point game, but a teaser is to minimize risk, right? So I would take that Philly game off of there. KC +1.5. I'd also take that off of there. I would take that off of there. And I would go the other direction on some of these games. Like Cleveland, I like. Buffalo, I like. Why not, like, do the Rams? Right? You know, the Steelers can't score a lot of points, man. And Baltimore +4, yeah, it makes sense. It's probably going to be a 3-point game. It just, is that really, like, limiting your risk all that much? Yeah, like some of the teaser options I had this week, like, you know, Broncos, Giants, Falcons, Hawks, Bills. I think those are the best games to tease when you factor in the math. So, yeah, man, like I would definitely take Philly off of that. I would definitely take Baltimore off of that. And I would probably take KC off of that because I think there's a chance KC loses this week. I have nothing to back it up. I have very little science. And we know Brandon Staley, like, he can blow anything. Like, we understand that. I just don't know if, like, teasing the Chiefs this week is the best option. You'll see my teasers this week on Patreon tonight, the 2-team teaser. We've been hitting that all year. So, Derek, if you got another question, just leave it down below. I'll answer it tonight around like 10 p.m. Daryl Hall. Hey, Lawson, you ever do round robins? No, but we had a guy on the show who was trying to teach us all about round robins. He came on before. And Prestige, my bad, I missed your super chats. But yeah, I'm not a big like round robin guy. I understand why you guys like them. They're a little bit better than parlays, but I'm just not interested in it. Like, I want to bet 1,000 against the spread, and that's what I want to do. Like, I'm not against it. Like, you guys got to try to find new ways to entice yourself. But I like betting 1,000 against the spread, and that's kind of what I do. Austin Eckler props. He didn't hit it in the first week. Last week, current line rush yards over 48. Anytime touchdown -150. Prestige, like, I think I have a difference of opinion than you. Like, -150 just doesn't get me going. It just doesn't. Like, I understand why you would do that. Like, I think Eckler would get the ball more this week. I think this Chiefs defense is a little bit overhyped. Like, I completely get it. It's just, at minus 150, what are we gaining here? Like, are we gaining enough for the work you put in to spot it? Like, you understand what I'm saying? And I think the risk reward is off whenever we mention minus 150 with player props. Because we know how player props are. They're extremely volatile. Like, we know betting spreads is volatile already, but player props are a different level. Like, either you're going like 9-2 or you're going 2-9. There's no in between with them, in my opinion. I'm sure there's someone who'd come in here and say, Lawson, you're off on that. But yeah, man, like you would think Austin Eckler would get a touchdown. You would think he'd get over 48 anytime yards. You would think. But these Chargers game plans have been loopy. Let's be honest about it. If there's any team, okay, Prestige, let me ask you at home. What teams in this league, when you're watching them, leave you scratching your head? Where it's just like, okay, like, what was the plan there? What was the game plan there? Why are we managing the clock this way? Why aren't we running the fucking ball? What teams in this league leave you scratching your head? Probably the first one that comes to mind for me is the fucking Los Angeles Chargers, even though I think they can win that game against the Chiefs. I mean, so yeah, if it was like plus 120, I'd be like, yeah, go get it. But Austin Eckler over, Prestige with another super chat. Yeah, man, I gave my opinion on it. It's just a little bit risky at minus 150. Yeah, man, you would think he would get over yards. You think he would get like 5 receptions. You think he'd get like 15 carries. But he didn't do much against the Cowboys last week, which was a little bit puzzling. Because another thing where you scratch your head, when you think of how to attack this Cowboys defense, like I've been saying, on the 49ers agreed with, was you got to run the fucking ball right at Micah Parsons. And you got to run it a lot. You got to have good run-pass balance. Yeah, the Chargers just threw it the whole game. Maybe he wasn't healthy. I don't know. Yeah, so it's just the Chargers are risky. Like, listen, I think it'll hit. Like, I don't think you'll have a problem. And it's just risky whenever you're betting the Chargers player props because we don't know what the game plan is going to be. And I don't think they fucking know. Okay, here we go. The Hound, what's up, Pound? Yo, Lawson, I know you picked the Chiefs to win, and thank you for the super chat, Prestige. I appreciate it, my man. The Hound, yo, Lawson, I know you picked the Chiefs to win, Chargers to cover earlier in the week. Have your thoughts on this changed at all? I honestly think the Chargers pull this one off as long as Staley doesn't blow too many fourth down play calls. Hound, I haven't changed my opinion. I'll just repeat what you wrote. As long as Staley doesn't blow too many fourth down play calls. It's just like we're to the point with this man where I'm not even having the complaints about fourth down anymore. I'm just having complaints about basic clock management. Does he know how to manage Kellen Moore, his offensive coordinator? Are they going to get and press man-to-man against Tyreek Hill without a safety over the top? Like, we're talking basic shit with Brandon Staley before we even get to the fourth down calls. You guys know what I'm saying at home, right? Like, Brandon Staley's been an absolute disaster. Do I need to go through the Tennessee game? Do I need to go where he tried to give the Minnesota game away? The first 4 games of this year, if you watch the film, he made critical errors. And head coaches normally don't make many critical errors. Maybe 1 a year, right? 1, 2. He makes like 10, 12 a year. And they're not even on fourth down anymore. So that's why I'm concerned, Hound. But with that being said, I see why you're sniffing around. I see why you're sniffing around. I mean, this Chiefs team is vulnerable. They are vulnerable. It's just, are we going to see the Chargers play like good football? And what about Herbert last week against the Cowboys? It was just mind-boggling, some of his throws. The Chargers should have beat the Cowboys. We had a sweat for our teaser on Patreon when the Chargers didn't really have any business losing that game, let alone not covering the teaser. I do think the Chargers can win the game. If you threw some money on the Chargers money line, I wouldn't snub my nose. But that money could be taken from you, not because of the dogs on the field, but because of this little measly guy on the sideline. Even the Raiders game against the Chargers, Staley tried to throw it away. I mean, weren't they up like 17 points on Aiden O'Connell going into like the third fucking quarter? I worry about Brandon Staley, man. And it's not even bias at this point. Like, I'm not even mad about what he did to us last year in the playoffs. I got over it. It's a new year. We've been making tons of money this fucking year. I'm over it, man. But like I said, every game he's made a critical error. Every game this year. And I'm a Vikings fan, but even I admitted he tried to give my Vikings the fucking game. And there's so many errors that he makes in the game. Like, I have to go on a 30-minute rant to explain it. Like, that Titans-Chargers game was one of the worst coach games I've seen in NFL history. Chiefs are ripe for the picking. Like, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. They're vulnerable, and they're there to be knocked off right now, especially in this timing, like the Eagles were last week against the Giants. It's just, is Brandon Staley going to stand in everyone's way? They need a new coach regardless. I do think the Chargers win. I agree with you guys. It's just when you got a guy like that, you know, it's tough, man. Daryl, I don't like the Chiefs either, Daryl. I don't like the Chiefs either, man. I don't like just how they're gelling. Like, I don't think their defense has improved all that much, as the media is saying. Like, I think Hound's onto something. Like, I think he's on the right side. It's just Brandon Staley smells like fucking garbage. So it like overwhelms the bloodhound looking for the bat. That's where I'm at, to use a metaphor for Hound's name. His real name's Shane. It's just, yeah, like Lauren, like the Chiefs need a number one wide receiver. Like, I know people are going to come in and like own me on Tuesday, you know, once the Chiefs win the game and everything, and say Mahomes doesn't need a number one. Travis is awesome. Like, listen, but they do need one. Like, these guys can't fucking catch. So, yeah, man, that's where we're at. I'm just so sick of Brandon Staley, Hound. And I know, Hound, you backed the Chargers against the Jags with me last year, which, you know, what were they up? Like 27-0, 27-3. What was it? It's just insane, man. Steve Terry, Mr. Lawson, do you feel the Browns-Colts may be a college fun game? Also, do you have any great player props? Last week, I hit the Mahomes over 20.5 yards rushing. This week, the line is 24.5. I feel this line may be too high to bet. It is. Keep in mind, Mahomes has been averaging 30 yards rushing a game. All right, let's get this money, Steve. I will reiterate what I said earlier. Nice to see you, Steve, by the way. Looking phenomenal in the Patreon photo. I would go Kenneth Walker over 70.5, 71.5 rush yards. I think he gets it 18 to 19 times. Had a good game against the Bengals. And I feel like the Seahawks offensive line is struggling to pass block, but they do look pretty good going forward. They were able to open holes against the Bengals last week, which is no small feat. I really respect the Bengals run D, and I respect the physicality of everyone on that Bengals defense. And I do think the Cardinals are vulnerable against the run, and I think the Seahawks can exploit it. Also, we're looking at a lot of rain in that Seahawks game. You know, if it's downpouring rain, do you necessarily want to throw it a lot? That would be my question. So I like the Kenneth Walker, the Drake London over receiving yards was an option, especially because he's been going deep a lot and he doesn't need to get 5 catches to go over. He caught like a 40 or 50 yarder against the Commanders last week. And that's where Desmond Ritter's at. He's not good at making the underneath reads. He's just good at heaving it. And I think that could be an option. So those are the two I like. But I agree with your initial assessment, man. Like, I think that's too high on the rushing yards to go over when we talk about Mahomes. Mamba 1991 McCray. Question: Minnesota is 6-0 straight up against the 49ers at home. Could this be another snake bite for the 49ers? I would not bet 49ers against the spread. And, you know, we have to remember, like, I'm a Vikings fan. When we beat the 49ers at home, they were a completely different team. They weren't this juggernaut they are now. But the reason why I worry about the 49ers at this point is because the injury situation. Like, I'm not off the 49ers bandwagon. I'm not saying the Vikings are going to beat them, but I think the Vikings cover the spread. I don't know about you guys, but I think the Vikings cover the spread. My main issue from a Vikings perspective is this. Yes, we hit big with the Vikings bet against the Bears. A lot of people are saying we were crazy for betting it. But one problem that the Vikings had last week is 4 or 5 drops. Like, Addison was open. KJ Osborne had a phenomenal game. But Hockenson and Addison just had too many drops, and they leave too many opportunities. Another issue with my Minnesota Vikings, you know, we invested a lot of money in Darisaw at left tackle and O'Neal at right tackle. The Vikings just aren't pass blocking good. And you know Kirk Cousins isn't the most nimble. He doesn't have the most pocket presence in the world. So there's just is a ton of pressure coming from the right side. And that's where Bosa lines up. That's why I don't think the Vikings can win money line, to be honest with you. But if we're talking spread, I would probably say Vikings cover the spread. That would be my one change pick, especially given how the 49ers injury report has shaken out this week, man. Yeah, man. So, okay. Yeah, nice to see everyone on here. Hope everyone's having a great night. Okay, here we go. Browns should win, but they may be fat and sassy after their win against the Niners. Could be a letdown spot. Well, I mean, we can't control the team psychology. I mean, we can try to judge the team psychology all we want. But like I said earlier in the show, Browns are playing the best man-to-man defense in the league at this point. Stats say it. Eye test says it. So let's put that in there. The Jags against Minshew, what did they do? The Jags went press man-to-man and forced Minshew into a lot of bad situations. They dropped the safeties down in the box. They completely took away their run, and we saw, what did Minshew throw? 3 or 4 interceptions? Like, listen, I don't think it's going to be an easy walk in the park, but I do think the Browns take care of business here. I do think the Browns take care of business there. Yes, Michael, man, I am. I'm taking gas. I'm going to take – so do we have any questions on YouTube? Then I'll get the guest on. Yeah, man, good show tonight. Good show tonight. Am I the only one who thinks like Survivor is a little bit overrated? Like, listen, I've been betting since I was like 12 years old, 13 years old. It, am I the only one who just thinks like Survivor is a bit overrated? Like, I don't even like talking about it. Not bashing anyone who talks about it, but I just never really got into Survivor. But that's where I'm at. Tony, appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you, my guy. Tony joined on Patreon. I got you. I got you. Okay, let's get Tony on real quick. Then we'll get Lauren and Michael Mann on if they're available. Let me just use the bathroom real quick. I'm gonna send the invite. We'll get you guys on. Okay, and appreciate 200 people in here the whole night. 200 people. Credit to you guys. Friday night. Worried about making money. I'll be right here. Time Serve says can't stand Survivor. I'll be right back. Just give me like a minute. Just got to use the bathroom. And man, someone on Patreon was saying, "Oh, bro, why don't you just bet college football?" Well, he said there's like 200 teams to bet. Well, you actually have to watch these teams too. And I don't think college football is all that easy to bet. Like, I see a ton of college football bettors, they're all under 500. I mean, could you imagine if I was under 500 on money picks going into week 7? Like, I would be taken out in the road and just like beaten. You know, I'd be beaten like a redhead stepchild. So, yeah, man, I just don't think like I agree with like Lamar Swede, man. Like, I do think like it's just people lacking content. Like, we got the NFL to talk about. There's over unders to talk about. There's teasers to talk about. There's a lot of ways to make money in the NFL, and there's a lot of storylines to talk about. And yet we're talking about Survivor, you know. And college spreads are tough because the points don't mean the same value. Like, I prefer betting soccer. Like, we do good on Patreon with the soccer. We bet niche soccer, but I like watching it, and I'm able to watch every NFL game. I cannot watch the college football games. So that's where I'm at. Holy shit, we just dropped 40 people. How did that happen? Okay, here we go. Okay, now we're back up 40 people. I don't know what's going. And I agree, Von. Like, there's no defense in college. And Tony, I sent you the invite. And the sticks, I wanted to tell you, man, this is weird on YouTube. Like, 1 second it's showing like 200 people, 1 second it's showing like 155 people. How does that make any sense? What's going on right now? Now we're back up to 192. I don't understand what's going on right now. The sticks, man, YouTube's been like blocking your comments from me, and I don't know why. So I approved them, but I just saw them after the fact. River Rat, Mr. Lawson, how are you? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I always like getting on here and spitballing with you guys on Friday night. Your show is the number one on the internet. I appreciate it, man. I truly believe we're the best gambling show. I truly believe it. And I think I'm the only one who actually doesn't have a job on YouTube. Like, I don't know these other dudes' lives, but they look like they have like a regular job. My job is just to bet spreads. Like, that's my only job. I don't have a job. Like, if we don't win, I don't fucking eat. If I don't bet good, I'm fucking going to be homeless, drinking out of a fucking jug in the park. So they all have other jobs and stuff, which is cool. Like, I'm not discrediting the working man. But yeah, the reason why this show is the best, it's because this is our life. And you guys know football, man. And you guys know football. So I attract a certain type of person. Time served with the super chat. I appreciate your generosity, my friend. How do we feel about Miami? Sharps going Philly? Well, didn't we hear that last night with the Saints-Jags game that like Sharps were on the Saints? Let's look at the betting distribution firstly. So let's go into this game because this is a game I wanted to talk about. Okay, now we'll use action tonight. I'm not a big fan of action. I don't think they're necessarily accurate as some people portray, but let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at what Action Network is saying. So most of the money's on the Eagles, bro. 64% of the money is on the Eagles. So I don't think that's not like a situation where the Sharps were on it. Like a situation where the Sharps were on something, so to speak, or when we bet the Browns against the Titans, when 88% of the money was on the Titans and we bet the Browns. Like, I don't think this is that type of situation. I don't think so. And I think Vegas is staying firm either way. Like, I don't think Sharps or any better is influencing this. Like, I don't think Billy Walters is lobbing in a bet here that is going to change Vegas's opinion. Could be wrong. I'm not working in Pinnacle or Circa or anything like that. But I don't think this is a good example of it. But let's get to the question. Sharps going Philly, but love them to eat the middle of the field. Can't compare Bills game. That's division. I agree. Like, and also, do we need to be emotional about everything in this society? Like, some people had a damn tantrum 2 weeks ago when I did my betting power rankings on Patreon. I did my betting power rankings on Instagram, and I had the Dolphins ahead of the Eagles. And I had the Dolphins ahead of the Eagles, and I had the Dolphins ahead of the Bills. So I think I need to stand firm here and go the Dolphins. But most of the money's on the Eagles. And I'm not surprised by that. I am a little bit worried about Vic Fangio's defense. I have been a little bit worried about the Dolphins' run defense. And we know if you can't stop the run against the Eagles, you're going to absolutely get eaten. We know how that goes. We've seen that movie. We've seen that story. We've seen that book before. So the only thing I worry about in this game is the Eagles' run game. But I think the Dolphins match up good in the secondary here. And I think the weakest unit in this game, if we look at all the units on the field, I think this Eagles secondary is the weakest unit, man. I think the Dolphins wide receiving and play calling can eat them for lunch. So I'm going Dolphins here. I'm not budging. I've been thinking all day if I'm going to bet it or not on Patreon tonight. At a certain point, man, like, we got to go off what we've seen on the film, time served. And I haven't been impressed with the Eagles so far this year. Like, listen, credit to them. They beat me on the Rams game. Credit to them, man. But I do feel like every time the Eagles get to the red zone, they don't want to score. And outside of the tush push, are they? I hate the term tush push. Sorry about that, guys. But outside of the quarterback sneaks, like, are they executing anything good on offense? And you got to think, eventually this Miami defense has to fucking step up. But I think we could see a game very much like the Chargers-Dolphins game week 1. And when you get into a shootout, when you get into a gunfight against the Miami Dolphins, give me the Miami Dolphins. Give me Tua's left arm. And I've been hyping him up since last year, and we're going to get a Dolphins fan on here in a second. But honestly, man, Tua reminds me of Steve Young. And no one thought Steve Young was all that fucking good. And we think he's good now because we're used to seeing shit in the NFL outside of the top 7, top 8. But Tua honestly reminds me of Steve Young. And the reason why I started liking Steve Young as a youngster was because he had a bullet quick release. And like I said before, like, is this Eagles secondary getting near anyone? Has this Eagles team played a complete game the whole year? Like, I understand the Dolphins have beaten up on bad teams this whole year. And they play the Bills and they get stomped. But the Eagles haven't necessarily played anyone good either. So that's where I'm at, man. Going to get Tony Trill on. What's up, Tony?
What's good, Lawson?
Dude, the dog had to be carted out of the room.
Yeah, the dogs are barking, bro. We're talking about the Dolphins. You know, them dogs is barking. I had to fucking I had to evacuate them because, like, they barking so much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. So what are you thinking about the Dolphins-Eagles game?
Wow. It's really a really interesting game, too, because both these guys were, like, teammates. And, in fact, like, his whole start in his career was substituting Jalen Hurts in the 2017 or 18 national championship game. It was Georgia was up 13-zip at halftime. The offense was inept. Jalen Hurts couldn't get the ball past the 50, it felt like. And then they put in this true redshirt freshman from Hawaii named Tua Tagovailoa, and the rest is history. And he would end up throwing the game winner to Jalen Hurts' current receiver, who might not play in this game, future Heisman Trophy winner Devonta Smith.
And I do think that's a big loss for the Eagles, man, because he takes the top off the defense, and then you can just run the ball underneath. Like, okay,
you can't play man against the Eagles. You can't play man against them at times because A.J. Brown breaks that, and then he's got the route running to, like, really slice and dice you with the run game.
What have people in Miami been saying about, like, the defense going into this game?
Well, for me, you really got to – it's kind of hard to say this, but as dumb as it sounds, you can't really take Miami's defense like this is not the final product because we're missing 2 very important pieces, being Jalen Phillips, our pass rusher, but more importantly, Jalen Ramsey, who I expect will get in, like, the latter half of the season, probably after Thanksgiving. I think we get him back. I just think this Dolphins defense, even though we got Vic Fangio and our scheme should, like, be doing better at times, I think we've given up on average, like, at least near 20 a game. I want to say every game. Chargers got like 30 plus. Patriots got to 20, which isn't the best. The Panthers got 20, I think. Like, so our defense isn't living up to criteria, but call me crazy. In this game, I do think they can do things that would, like, stifle the Eagles offense altogether. Because I think we have the fast linebackers you need to spy Jalen. Because if you don't have linebackers that are fast enough to run with him, he's going to have a field day.
Well, and like, listen, I think this game all comes down to if you told me the Dolphins were gonna stop the Eagles run game, I'd go empty my bank account and I'd fucking put every dollar I have on the Dolphins right now, and I would ride it out. And if I lost, I'd fucking lost. And I just say 100%. I'd eat it, man.
I hear a lot of people have been talking like weather factor. I haven't looked at the Doppler radar or whatever it's called yet. But nothing for nothing. That's like something I really said. Where is it? I have it right here. I literally have the Dolphins schedule right here. Okay. 2023 schedule right here. I looked at every game. I'll be honest, preseason, before like I saw what we were in the first 3 games, I would think at first sight on Sunday Night Football in Philly, that's going to be probably a loss, right? But I look at this, like the state of both these teams, like you said, the Eagles just feel like they're missing something. In games, they let the Vikings get a backdoor cover. They let the Patriots get a cover. Like shit, where you would think they would be dominating their opponents like the Niners have been. before last week. I just feel like they're missing something. But going back to this game, more importantly, the main thing I wanted to talk about was every game. If you give me good weather and healthy Tua, we've only lost one game, and that's against Buffalo. If you give me one of the two things, a healthy Tua or good weather, I think we have at least a 50% shot every game. But if you give me both, I really like our chances, and especially in a shootout situation.
Yeah, man. And I'm looking forward to this game. And like this Eagles secondary is one of the things I've been talking about. And then, like you said, there's just been like a lack of rhythm with the Eagles. And I do wonder, like, okay, so the Eagles have beaten up on who? You know, like, listen, this Miami Dolphins schedule has been fugazi. Like, we understand it. But then again, they're not playing around with these teams. They're putting them out. They're slamming them. And I think Mike McDaniels has an answer this game. There's no evidence. I just think he has an answer. Like, that Bills game was fucking terrible. And you know, I look like a doofus. But you know what? I'd fucking bet that game again. I'd bet it again.
I'd do it again. I would do it again. Good weather, healthy Tua. I'm taking that shot 9 times out of 10. But yeah, that for me really is the X factor right there. I genuinely believe Mike McDaniels is superior to Nick Sirianni. I don't know who the defensive coordinator is for the Eagles off the top of my head, but I'll take Vic Fangio over him too. I think coaching, the firepower we got, them losing Devonta Smith, like people aren't talking about that enough. If he don't play, that's a factor. That's legit. That's a security blanket for Jalen. I really think he trusts him more than AJ because they played together in college. I really think that.
And I agree. And like one thing that scares defensive coordinators about the Eagles is the deep ball. And Devonta Smith, like, I know people don't talk about him a lot, but man, like deep ball, 9 route, he's one of the best in the league. So
those deep crossing routes, post route, he kills on those. He really do.
Like, so how are the Dolphins looking health-wise, man?
I'd say Jalen Phillips is probably nearish a game time decision, maybe leaning to not playing. I don't know Teron Armstead's current situation, but I think
I'm assuming he's going to be
running
out.
Game is going to be big too for us. Say again, who do you think was going to be out?
I'm assuming Teron Armstead's going to be out, but you never know with him.
Right? Yeah, no, really, he's a wild card at times. It feels like definitely.
Yeah, man. So any other thoughts on this weekend? Thanks for coming on and giving us Dolphins perspective.
Problem.
I want to go to a Dolphins game so fucking bad this year.
Let me know. We'll link up for sure. We got to see him, bro. For real.
Because I'm gonna be back in the United States around Thanksgiving, and I got to find a way to get down there, man. Because it's listen, I've always wanted to go to one.
November 24th, they play the Jets.
That's a good game, man. That's a good game.
One. I think that's winnable for us.
All right, Tony. I'll see you, man. Thanks for the info, bro.
For sure, bro. Anytime.
Have
a winning week, everybody. And remember, this is the best gambling show on the internet.
Oh, appreciate it.
Give a like and subscribe. I will be back. But yeah, I'm going with my dog. I'm going with the Sunday Night Football, Miami Dolphins. I'll take the points to be safe, but I'm a homer, so I'm thinking we can win it.
Well, yeah, and people were curious what you were smoking on as well. So.
Just a little sour diesel, nothing special, but we all good. Let's have a winning week. Sweating out this Astros game 5 money line right now, first 5 under. We're like 3 outs away from cashing. Let's get it.
All right, good luck, Tony. Good luck, man. Okay, yeah, man. Carol City, your Dolphins season ticket holder. I mean, I imagine the atmosphere is so much better than it was before. And like it really is like an underrated home field advantage. Like for me, man, I wish this game was in Miami. I really do wish it was in Miami. I think Philly would get blown out, but that Miami home field advantage is the best in the NFL right now. I think so, and it's just because the heat. Lauren, how's it going?
Oh, hey, everybody. What's up?
What's up? Where'd Michael Mann go?
Is he here?
No, I sent him an invite, but I don't think he got it. But anyways, let's talk some football, man.
Let's talk some damn football. Let's go. Yeah. It was a good week last week.
Saints didn't look too good, though.
Saints need a new kicker. Let's start with that.
So
We really,
against the Texans as well. That's when the game spiraled.
yeah, we can't just be missing 11-yard kicks. I mean, I don't know what Sean Payton did to snag Lutz from us, but whatever he did, it was enough.
But anyways, yeah. So what game are you looking at this week?
I mean, I know this Detroit Baltimore's a hot topic right now. We said, that line against Tampa was just downright disrespectful last week, and it proved, it was obviously the truth. I can't, I cannot back Baltimore. When they gave the game away to Pittsburgh. I mean, I know that's a divisional game, but I can't back Baltimore. I know a lot of people are saying otherwise, but I can't do it. I have to stick with Detroit's defense. Just does not get enough attention. It doesn't get enough respect.
That's what's crazy about it. And this Ravens offense hasn't been moving the ball well either. And then, I think this game's going to be scrappy. And then the Ravens churn it over like 2 or 3 times a game. Like, it's a tough one, though. Like, it really is tough.
Yeah.
Like, the more I think about it, the more I get scared about it. But this Lions train is coming, man.
Lamar should get over 50 yards rushing, I think, or 53.5, whatever it is. I agree with that. And I agree with Seattle. I'm trying so hard to jump on your Falcons train, and I like it because Tampa they're just so phony.
They're bad, man.
Somebody's going to come out of this division.
Give a shit about the Bucs. Jared Hart, I love Jared Hart, but at a certain point, it does seem like Vegas is going to be right, and the Bucs are going to end up last in that division. It does seem like it's going that way.
I can't. Yeah, they're just so phony. They really are. Let's see. I know, and I put in the chat, the Rams are going to be missing both their running backs, Kyrie Williams and the other guy. So I really like. No, I think Puka's going to get over 60 yards though, 60.5 or whatever it is. Because
let's talk about this game. So let me lead you into this game. So Rams, Steelers. Listen, I love the Rams this game. And I'll just give you my reason why. I don't know about you, Lauren, and I know we both respect Mike Tomlin, but is it just me or is this Steelers secondary one of the worst in the league?
I mean, and aside from that, so I think Stafford's going to have a day. So Stafford has thrown for like 448 yards, 330 something of them have gone to Kupp and Puka the last 2 games. So he's going to throw to them. The thing with the Steelers, everyone's like, oh, Steelers after a bye, Tomlin's like 6-0. I don't give a shit.
Why would it even matter at this point? I asked on Patreon, 50% said it mattered, 50% says it doesn't. Last week it didn't mean fuck off for the teams who had the bye, by the way.
Yeah, not just that, but does anybody see Ben Roethlisberger on this team? Because I don't. You know what I mean? So the problem with Pittsburgh is, I mean, you got to know when to play this team, like the divisional home dog. We cashed in that, against Baltimore. We probably shouldn't have, but we did. You have to know the Pittsburgh offense is so bad. I mean, they are just so bad. They literally get in the red zone 1.4 times a game. That's less than 2. You can't get in the red zone less than 2 times a game and keep up with the Rams. You can't get in the red zone less than 2 times a game and keep up with Indianapolis.
Well,
You can't get in the red zone less than 2 times a game and keep up with. I don't. I was gonna say Denver. Like, I mean, you just can't. Like, so this Pittsburgh team is gonna have zero answer for the scores. And the thing about it is, I think it's gonna be, was it like Myles Gaskin and Royce Freeman are going to be the running backs?
A guy's hyping him up in the chat. So
okay, is that who it's going to be?
I'll tell you
I have really no opinion on that. I think they're just Sean McVay's going to get it done through the air. Rams -3. I don't care if it was -7.
I told Lawson this a few weeks ago. Steelers are the worst 3-2 team I've ever seen. I mean, that offense, there's some really bad offenses in the NFL this year.
There is. Yeah. They're pretty bad. They're very fake too. They're right there with Tampa. They're phony.
And
I came into this season liking Pickett. And everyone's like, oh, Deontay Johnson's back and this, that, and the other. It's not like you're saying Cooper Kupp is back. I mean,
not yet.
Well, and I think this comment is relevant. I'm a Steeler fan, and I can guarantee that McVay is going to coach circles around Tomlin. Like the offensive play calling, obviously, like that's national news now with Matt Campbell.
Yeah,
it's kind of true, man. Like, and they can't run the ball. For me, against the Rams front, I think you got to run it against the Rams because they want to sit back in zone. They don't want to put 8 men in the box. I just don't think the Steelers run it, and I think this is like similar to the Texans game, where the Texans just ripped them a new one.
The Rams should really be on a 3-game win streak. They really should.
No, they got out-coached against the Eagles. If the Eagles scored in the red zone, they would have won that game by 20 points. Go watch that second half. They dominated on film.
I listen, this Rams team is not what it was last year. And they could have won that Eagles game. They stood with them. They didn't cover, but there was just too many mistakes made. You're right. They got out-coached. And what happens, when you lose close games at the end or when you fall apart in the second half, it's all coaching. That's why we blame Brandon Staley. We blame Brandon Staley for everything, and unfortunately, I know that I'm pretty high on the Chargers covering. I know that they're absolute dumpster fire, but if it's one team that goes toe-to-toe with Kansas City every single year and every single game, it's freaking the Chargers.
I'm with you.
So
now,
whether
what's the spread at? What's the spread at?
5.5.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not even like it's just a field goal. It's 5.5. So, you get through.
Chargers are slowly kind of turning into last year's Vikings in a way, where they're playing seemingly every game super close. It feels
the Vikings actually won last year when it was super close.
Lawson will tell you. I mean, the Vikings consistently have played teams ridiculously close, no matter who it is.
They still are.
The Chargers won. I won about it. It's so tough with Brandon Staley. So
I just don't think.
I'm not money in on Brandon Staley. I'm sorry, Lawson.
He's a bad coach, man.
Yeah, he's really bad.
Like there was nothing too glaring besides the 4th and 1 against the Cowboys, but the games previous, there were like glaring mistakes that just leaves you flat-footed if you're better. So, but I agree with Lauren. Like I guess the talk is if the Chargers can steal the game and win money line, I guess that's what everyone wants to hear.
It's possible because the Chiefs. I'll be honest with you. The Chiefs. I'm not. I feel like okay. So there's Mahomes and then there's Herbert. Obviously, Mahomes is better than Herbert, but I don't think he's got enough out there. The Chargers can score. They're going to give up points, but they can also score. So they've got Eckler back. They've got, if they utilize Keenan Allen the way they should have last week, they could have beat Dallas. But they have people to throw to. That tight end, Gerald Everett, is literally one of Herbert's favorite targets. He's turning into one of Herbert's favorite targets. So you're gonna have to really put a lot of pressure on him, and Eckler could literally run it in for 2 or 3 touchdowns. So I don't know what the hell the number is, but I like the over.
I think the biggest question in this game for the Chargers is their secondary going to show up? Because you can throw the Chiefs. You can. I think this is finally the year that the Chiefs are really starting to miss Tyreek Hill. I think it's finally catching up to him. And I think if the Chargers can at least challenge those receivers, they could actually keep this thing pretty close, just like they normally do. But that, I think, is the biggest key. The Chargers second has to show up.
The other problem is Kelsey's hobbling every game. He's in every game. He's catching every ball in every game. But if you double cover him or triple cover him, which is what you need to do, because it seems like he's just always open. Yeah. None of these teams have figured out that you cannot just let Travis Kelce run up the field and not expect him to catch and score. So the problem is, if he goes down, that Chiefs team is going to be a mess.
Well, and that's one thing I was speaking of an injury. I do actually agree with this comment about Mike Williams, and I do think the Chargers are missing him. But I actually do think the Chargers have enough weapons to move the ball still. One thing I was worried about last week was I felt like Herbert missed Allen a few times. There's one specific deep ball in the second half. And that's where I'm at where I don't think the bye week helps as much as people think, especially this early in the year bye week, because Herbert did look like he was a little bit off rhythm though. And he should be on rhythm this week. And I don't know about you guys, but I do think there is a little bit too much hype with the Chiefs defense. And they were getting hyped before the Russell Wilson game, but anyone can stop Russell Wilson and Sean Payton at this point in Denver. I don't know why they're getting so much hype on defense.
I'll tell you, my biggest fear in betting this game, probably more than anything else, is the officiating. What?
What'd you say?
Say that again.
My biggest fear in betting this game is probably the officiating. Because
this might be a game just to stay away from.
That's serious. Have you guys seen the endings to these Chiefs games? I never really started to buy into the idea that the NFL might have favorites until I watched the Chiefs this year. I mean, it feels like every game they get some bullshit call that just gives them the game.
The Vikings one was bad.
I thought the Jets one was worse.
We all saw that. It was on prime time. We all saw that. So I mean, it was. What I'm saying though is this might be just keep it off your radar. Go bet the Rams. Bet Seattle. There's just so much. You know what I mean? There's just other things on there. These divisional games are just so wonky with those two. I mean, it's tough. 5.5 on a divisional game. I don't know that I want to lay that with the Chiefs that barely beat the Jets.
If you're making me pick one, I'm going with the Chargers. But by no means, especially with like I just said, the officiating and Brandon Staley over there. I'm not exactly lining up to bet this game.
No,
I want to talk about the Dolphins game with you guys because I'm curious. I know we're Lawson fans. I think I'm with Lawson on this by picking Miami. How do you feel about this, Lauren?
If you're to ask me who the better quarterback is, I think it's Jalen Hurts. If you're going to ask me who I think the better offense is, I'm going to say the Dolphins. Yeah. If you're going to ask me who I think the better coaching is, I think it's the Dolphins. If you're going to ask me who the better defense is, I'm going to say it's the Eagles, which I don't think any of this is a shock to anybody.
I think the difference for me in this game is who's gonna commit a dumb turnover and who's gonna fall behind first. And I think the answer to both of those questions is the Eagles. Another big matchup that I don't think enough people are talking about. The Dolphins have really been good at running the ball this year. And a big part.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter who's back there either.
Well, and here's why they're so good at it, because teams are playing so far back to try to stop Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But the Eagles, their front seven is one of the best personnel groups in football. So you actually may have to beg the question: is the Eagles front seven good enough to keep this run game in check and make the Dolphins one dimensional? Because I think obviously you have to cover Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle to have a good shot to beat them. But still, keeping the Dolphins in third and longs will not hurt.
The problem with this too is that the Eagles Jalen's going to run himself, so he's going to run. He's going to throw. It's going to be a total bloodbath. I really feel like it's going to be a bloodbath. So I'm not really high on betting the game, but I'm telling you that Buffalo was a favorite for a reason against Miami.
Yeah.
Right? The Eagles are at home pretty much the same favorite against Miami, the same amount of points.
I don't think the Eagles are going to hit those bombs the Bills got.
So you don't think
scrap a game because the Dolphins just didn't show up?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not trying to make excuses, but
no,
I'll take that L. But it's just at a certain point was that Mike got kicked off. I think
I'm back. I'm good.
But yeah, anyway, I hope for a better Dolphins performance. And honestly, I got to go in my power rankings. I got the Dolphins ahead of both the Eagles and Bills, so I got to roll with it, man.
I would take the points. I would, just because and the Eagles themselves have been struggling against some really mediocre, borderline naked teams like Washington, and they've been struggling themselves. So, and then they lost last week.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that I would side with you guys with the points. I think it's going to be very.
Oh, yeah. That over half.
That over, I was going to say that's going to be a shootout. That over might hit fast, but I do think when it comes down to coaching, I would take McDaniels.
Yeah.
So
I think you're right. I said that before the year. this is the best coaching staff in the league,
dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
I'll go that way, man. But yeah, what other games? I just wanted to. Lauren? Aren't you a little bit worried about, because we didn't talk about this game? Aren't you a little bit worried about the Hook and the Seahawks game, or you think the Seahawks will just obliterate them?
No, I'm not. I'm not worried, not one bit. No, I think that we are now starting to see the Arizona team that everybody expected at the beginning of the year.
Well, they do look pretty bad.
I think James Conner being out is really hurting them too.
It's definitely
crippled their offense.
It's borderline disturbing what teams are doing to them.
Yeah.
And Seattle, kudos to Cincinnati last week, because we were all on that and we thought so, but Seattle hung. Arizona's not, in my opinion, they're about what we thought. They're starting to show what their true standing.
Yeah, because there's just not enough talent there, and they're actually really well coached. But the problem is, in the second half, they just don't have the legs or the dogs to do anything. I am curious to see what happens when Kyler Murray comes back. For me, man, I didn't think they would bring him back. I thought they would try to move on, but it seems like he's coming back in a week or two.
It does, and their defense is so tired. That Arizona defense just gets so winded. By the time halftime comes, they're huffing and puffing off the field because they've been on there so damn long.
Well, and for all the credit to give Jonathan Gannon for stealing a win early in the season, one of the biggest faults that Eagles fans had with him last year was his tendency to really let up in the second half of games, and that appears to have carried over to Arizona.
Yeah, so I agree. So any other games you guys are watching?
I gave you the Puka. The Puka prop. I like Diggs to go over 84.5. He's gone over 100 yards 5 of his last 6 games. New England allows over 100 yards I mean, they're the 25th worst pass defense in the league.
Are you teasing the Bills or are you betting the Bills outright?
Outright.
All right.
I mean,
How-
you could
how
I mean, teasing the Bills is kind of like the cheap way out.
How
in
are
my
the
opinion.
Patriots going to keep up with them?
They're
Fuck,
not.
say that again?
How are the Patriots going to keep up with them?
They won't.
I don't know, man. And the
They
Patriots
won't.
defense has also been trashed this year as
They-
well.
Well, their offense can't score more than 13 points a game.
Their offense can't get past midfield.
Yeah, they literally. I mean, listen. I'm not trying to troll, but they do not. That is not an NFL offense they are fielding. Like that is a garbage, and they're not keeping up with the Bills. Bills are going to win that easily. Josh Allen is not playing this whole game.
I don't think so either. And you said something interesting earlier, Lawson. You're on Denver.
Yeah, we can talk about that game. We didn't talk about it at all.
Because I don't really see I have zero faith in Green Bay.
Same here, and that's like really sad that it got to that point, right? I mean,
And so if you're going to give me the home team in the Mile High, I'm going to take that. I
don't think we have any other option. And then also, I think we need to put into what I said. Like, I think Sean Payton could be a one and done this year. So I think he's going to try to win these games. Also, it seemed like they had some locker room cancer. I'm not like singling out Randy Gregory or anything like that, Frank Clark, but it seems like they weren't getting the effort they wanted to. So they've been getting rid of those guys, and they got a lot of young dudes, and we saw they played better against the Chiefs. Was that more of an indication on the Chiefs? Maybe. But I do, and Jordan Love's really bad, man. And I tried saying that even after the Bears game where he tore them up. I think he's bad. And we haven't even seen the turnover issues with him yet. But I just don't think he's good enough. And I also, to be fair to him, I don't think the weapons are good enough. I know Packers fans were on my ass all the first 3 weeks about Christian Watson being a baller and all that stuff. I just don't think the weapons are good. I don't know about you guys. And is Matt LaFleur all that good either? And is the offensive line even good anymore?
I think that you're going to see the Broncos. I think that actually for the first time all year, you will see the Broncos out coach the team. Because it's not saying that much. And I really think that, if anybody's going to schematically win this kind of shit show of a game that nobody really cares about, I'm very confident that Peyton will. He's got to win these games.
Well,
Can't
I think
lose
the
it all.
Broncos will run the ball better. I mean,
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference. And we know the Packers defense, they got a bunch of studs. But do they create big plays? Do they create turnovers? Are they going to dominate the line of scrimmage? They just don't. And I don't understand why, if it's schematic, attitude, but they got lots of good players, but it just doesn't happen.
Now, you talked about the Washington Giants. I mean, Giants is missing so many line members. There's just, I mean, they're going to have, the guy parking cars is going to have to come over and play soon.
Yeah.
I can see with Saquon being back and, the performance they showed against the Bills last week was just dynamic, and I was with Tyrod Taylor.
The Giants haven't scored a touchdown in 3 weeks. They haven't scored an offensive touchdown in multiple weeks. I don't know if it's 3, but I know it's been a minute for sure. They had a pick 6 against Miami, and then they didn't score last week.
Listen, Lauren was right about the Commanders last week against the Falcons.
Yeah.
But like I've been talking about, the way the Commanders played that game wasn't anything pretty either. They were lucky to win. But credit to her, because listen, the Falcons have their laundry list of problems. But I'm just not sure that the Commanders win the game. You would think, listen, offensive line worst in the league against 4 highly paid defensive linemen. You would think the Commanders dominate the game, but they just don't. They never come through in these situations.
It's Ron Rivera. It's Ron Rivera, man.
Dude, it's a problem.
I've been saying it for almost 10 years. It's Ron Rivera.
I said that he would get his first loss at home last week, and he did. Not that I'm
Falcons have
not
had
that
some
I'm any
best streaks of all time.
not that I'm any genius or anything, but I'm not. But I just felt like leading up to that week, and that kind of contradicted myself because I'm on Tampa. Not on Tampa this week. But I don't think. I think coaching is going to be a huge thing, and I would take Arthur over Bull or over the Tampa coach. The thing about
I think that's and like listen, Arthur needs to respond. He made some really bad choices in the fourth
last
quarter.
week. Yeah. And the problem is with Ritter, it was like the more you watched him, the more he sucked. So he has to respond. And the thing, and a good team to respond against is this really fragile Tampa fake team, divisional team that should really win this game. And at the beginning of the year, you would probably pick them to win comfortably. I just don't see it. I don't see it because it's almost like that movie, Hear No Evil, See No Evil. I mean, take the lesser of two evils. So
everyone's on the Bucs this week. Everyone. And like
that makes me go the other way.
Yeah,
that makes me go the other way. And
my biggest problem with what the Falcons are doing right now is that they're not giving the ball to Bijan Robinson at all.
Wow.
Like
they
Tyler
were
Robinson
at the beginning of the year,
touching him, and it's stupid.
The running back distribution has been weird.
Yeah, like it. What are you doing? Come on.
And then like Cordero Patterson came back 2 weeks ago, and he's used as a pass blocker. And Algiers is getting a ton of carries, and I think one thing with Arthur Smith is he's worried about Bijan Robinson losing yards because they have Desmond Ridder, and Bijan Robinson isn't a straight cut guy like Algiers. He's going to move around a little bit, but it isn't making sense to me at all. And you do wonder, like, listen, the over-under for Bijan Robinson carries this week is 13.5, if I remember correctly. He should be getting more than that,
Yeah.
And then I feel like Arthur Smith's trying to use Bijan Robinson more as a receiver, and he made a mistake at receiver that pretty much cost them the game last week.
Because they're finally starting to use Kyle Pitts. They're finally starting to use Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
And
Jonnu Smith is more yards than him right now.
Crazy.
Right, because they just started using Pitts 2 weeks ago.
He's had good weeks 2 weeks in a row now, so he's finally getting involved. But up to this point, Smith has been the main guy.
Crazy.
One game. So okay, I want to talk about my degenerate pick of the week. Raiders versus Bears. I got the Raiders, and I'm riding with it.
We all got the Raiders.
Yeah,
we all got the Raiders. That's not degen.
Listen, I don't know if you guys saw Badgett. I don't know who's necessarily going to start for either team. I don't think they've made that official. Correct me if I'm wrong in the live chat. But, yeah, I think the Raiders can win this game, and I don't think the Bears are good at stopping the run at all.
No. And they're not going to have anything going on offense at all. And this Raiders defense, granted, they haven't played anyone good, but they've looked better the last couple weeks. They've looked competent. They're playing fast. They're making plays on the ball. I'll take that.
Can we talk about something more relevant, like San Fran and Miami, or in Minnesota? San Fran and Minnesota on Monday night?
Yeah, well, this is interesting. I'll lead you in because a lot of people are picking my Vikings to cover.
What's that spread?
6.5, 7. Let me double check.
Sorry,
what is that? Talk and I'll confirm it. 7. Start open at
how do you feel about that?
I feel like we shouldn't be betting it, but I feel like the Vikings cover. I will change my pick. I am a little bit nervous about the injuries, but like I said, some people are getting really excited wanting to bet the Vikings. But like I said, I'm worried about this Vikings offensive line. And I think people need to remember last week, the Vikings won the game because of their defense. And we know the Bears defense is terrible. Vikings should have been able to throw it, right? They still got guys who can get open. 4 or 5 drop balls, Kirk Cousins with a fumble. They're not blocking. And I'm not understanding it.
Do we know if Christian McCaffrey is playing? Because
no confirmation as of yet.
That might decide if you telling me CMC plays and I don't have to bet purely on Brock Purdy to pull this thing out. I might feel good about the Niners minus 6.5. If McCaffrey's out, then I don't know what's going to happen. One thing I will say is, like Austin says,
so, okay, go on.
Yeah, I don't like Kirk Cousins going up against this 49ers front four. That scares me. But at the same time, I don't like Brock Purdy going up against the blitzes that Flores is going to bring.
So listen, if they're missing Christian McCaffrey, we see what a struggle it is with Minnesota without Jefferson. It's almost like a wash in that respect. And then, but if Debo's out, McCaffrey's out, if that team doesn't have, they'll still have Kittle and Ayuk. Ayuk's going to have a huge day. Brandon Ayuk is going to have a freaking day against that Minnesota defense. So I don't feel like San Fran should win this game. But if you're going to tell me a 7 is where it's at now, or 6, I think it was 6.5, and now it's at 7. I'm not too comfortable laying 7 on the road because I got them laying 5.5 against Cleveland last week and lost on the road. So
short-term memory, I wouldn't worry about that. But I understand what you're saying, like especially with the Vikings backdoor covering. I think we talked about Philly against Minnesota this game, and Philly completely dominated the game, yet Minnesota still covers. They're not going to quit. So
no, they're not. And the problem with Minnesota is they're missing Dalvin Cook. Big time.
They are. Listen, Madison has I think the Vikings lost 9 fumbles this year, which is most in the league, close to the Ravens. Like, man, it's been bad. It's
really bad. And Dalvin Cook is doing absolutely nothing but being a mantelpiece over in New York. Absolutely nothing.
He seems to have forgotten how to play football ever since he went to New York.
They don't use him
over there.
They don't need him.
But even when
they already have
not going
Breece
anywhere.
Hall, Michael Carter. You've seen Dalvin Cook has pretty much been obsolete.
But look at when he has gotten carries. He's not doing squat.
You're talking about you're giving him 2 or 3 opportunities a game? Is that not even that? 1 or 2? Nothing's on the goal line. It's just like when they're like second down, go get a couple yards, and he might do it. But with Breece Hall there, and to be honest with you, they still have Michael Carter, who's still very dynamic, and he just doesn't get the credit for it because they don't need him as much. They don't really need Dalvin Cook is almost like an insurance policy for them. Dalvin Cook is an insurance policy for the end of the year because they expected to have Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, well, hey, you guys see Rodgers last week throwing?
I did see them. No crutches. I don't know what the hell's going on. You see people tear their Achilles, and they're Tariq Cohen from Chicago, never been heard from again.
Yeah, he's out of the league. So
he's never come back. And anybody that you've seen with this Achilles issue, either they've never returned or they came back a year and a half later or a year later, or whatever. And this guy's throwing with no crutches. Rodgers is a weird specimen because let me tell you, if he comes back this year, if he actually comes back this year like he says he wants to, that division might be up for grabs.
No, I know. I think they're better than the Bills if he's there, Laura.
But what week is he coming back?
Well, it seems like because I watch his interview every single week when I
watched him with the Pat McAfee show the other day. Did you watch that too?
Yeah, and it seems like, Mike, I'm targeting, this is just my target from hearing him talk, week 14. Now, the problem is they could be washed out already, but if they could just keep getting wins, we'll see, man. I want to see him come back just as a football fan.
The Jets have not been playing bad football. Like that was a very good win they got over the Eagles last week.
Yeah.
That game could have easily gotten away from them multiple times, and they just hung in there and kept grinding. They eventually stole it.
And just imagine if Aaron Rodgers was playing that game.
Oh yeah, Eagles would have lost by 20 if Aaron Rodgers was in there.
Imagine if we get a little bit of officiating magic once, get to week 11, we can get Rodgers back in there for the TV ratings. Like maybe, we can get some.
Or maybe for New York's pride, because we've already watched 4 primetime games by the Giants this year, and we're in week 7 and we've had 4 primetime games.
Be honest, have you watched those games?
I watched them.
Of course. They're
I had to
primetime.
sit out one of them, and I watch every game. There's one game I didn't watch. It was one of the Giants' primetime games. I just had to sit out.
Can't we take them? Like what? First off, who was the idiot that put a team on like 4 straight primetime games to open the year? No team should get that treatment.
Well, not only that, but definitely not the Giants.
Yeah,
and the problem.
Even when the Giants are healthy, who are you excited to watch on New York?
Saquon Barkley. That's it.
Yeah, but when he's healthy, how often is he even out there?
And let me ask you guys both a question. Okay, you guys live in neutral areas. Like I know you live in in the Panhandle. Mike lives in North Carolina. Listen, are there even that many Giants fans around there? I think there's other teams who are bigger that you would, if you needed to just push someone on prime time. I just don't think the Giants are as big as the league thinks they are. It's just traveling around the United States like I have, I don't think they're that big. Like if they forced the Steelers on, listen, I'd get it, man. I'd get it. But just don't think there's that many fans as they think.
Yeah.
I don't understand it either. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't get to the Buffalo Giants game until halftime last week. And I almost passed out when I saw what the score was.
I don't know.
It's just so bad. That's the point, Lauren. You're not even rushing to put on a Sunday night game.
I wasn't rushing. I was actually out, and I was in no hurry to get home to turn the game on.
These are the hardcore fans here. We're not like Campbell. Remember when Campbell came on last year and he said he doesn't watch the games? These are hardcore fans.
You know what's crazy about that? You know what's crazy about that take? He said Joe Burrow was going to throw it 3 interceptions, and he Joe Burrow actually went into that game, threw 3 picks, and they lost. After he said that he doesn't watch film. That might have been I've ever seen.
I'll tell you what though about Cincinnati. I was talking
during that game. That was hilarious.
This is seriously Cincinnati's time when they get hot. And I know they're on a bye this week.
You said that every week for the last 2 years.
And am I right? Every year? Is it not what happens every year?
How many rings do they have?
Do they not get hot? I didn't say they were going to win it all. Okay. I said they were going to get hot.
Okay. Well.
And go on a streak. And they've done exactly that every year.
We'll see.
At this time.
Officiating, they probably could have got a ring last year, and then all that.
No shit.
I do
We're
agree.
not talk about
I'm not an NFL fixed guy, but they do like themselves some Chiefs. They do seem to get the rub of the green.
And they're not even on prime time. It's the Giants.
Yeah, I know.
They're not even on prime time. You could tell me too, like Green Bay or Dallas or somebody for crying out loud, even Buffalo's become kind of like a heart warmer to a lot of people. There's a Bills mafia around this country, you wouldn't believe.
It's true.
It's really sad too.
A lot of people are transplants like you, Lauren. They're all over the place. So.
What's really sad too. I'd be willing to bet that most Giants fans don't even want to be on primetime anymore.
I agree.
I know as a Panthers fan, I get so scared anytime we go on primetime for the crap we could pull. I personally like staying at 1:00 on Sunday where everything's safe and only I have to see that crap live. But when it's the whole country, if what happened with Lauren last night for Saints, I hate it when the Panthers go on primetime.
Oh. Because when the guy in the red zone's Panthers are in the red zone. Pick 6, never mind.
Yes.
That's about what we see from the guy at red zone. Panthers are in the red zone. Bryce Young might actually get a touchdown. What happened? They don't even have the ball anymore.
Yeah.
And Michael,
I don't think we hit a bigger low as than last week when we were up 14-0 on the Dolphins, and I had no confidence that we were going to win.
And I texted you, and
Yeah,
I texted you and said, "Oh my God, I never bet Miami. This is the first time all year I have a Miami ticket in my pocket right now." And they were up 14-0. I texted Michael and I said, "Holy shit." I said, "This is the first time I've taken Miami all year." And he goes, "Oh, don't worry, you're safe. Don't worry, Lauren. Don't worry. You'll be all right." He said they'll give it away. And I literally have that text message from him. And I was like, I couldn't watch it. And then all of a sudden at halftime, I was like, "Oh, okay."
Okay. Yeah. Dude,
We're good.
Okay, like, I'm not trying to bitch too much, but look, if you watch what Mike McDaniels did to us when he went down 14-0, oh my God, I have never seen so many consecutive trick plays in a row. He was just throwing every reverse and every flip reverse pass and just pulling shit out of his ass and just chucking it on us. And it was ridiculous. They killed us. That man killed us.
So that reminds me of the Chiefs from 3 years ago, when the scariest part of the Chiefs is if they were playing from behind. Do you remember about 3 years ago when Tyreek was still there, and I think it was Edwards-Helaire was their guy at the time, and
you
Travis
live bet every week. Chargers would be up 17 points. You live bet Chiefs money line and they'll win.
And they were down, and the scariest time for another team or any fan was when the Chiefs were playing from behind against the Raiders or whoever. That was the scariest time. That's what this Miami team reminded me of last week. And I was like, oh shit. So now this is going to be the Tua and Jalen. Remember, they played together over there in Alabama. Tua basically took his job and sent Jalen over to Oklahoma. Or wasn't that where he went? Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll end it there because I got to work on the bets for tonight.
Please do, because I damn sure need some help. These are all my notes. Literally, I've got all my notes right here. I got stuff highlighted.
Yeah,
we're going to be good this week. We're going to be good. We agree on one. You agree on the strongest one. I don't want to give it away, but we agree on the strongest one. So last time, we agreed on 3 of the strongest ones this year. They've all covered. So.
It's the Raiders.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, Raiders. Yeah, we're batting the Raiders. All right, I'll see you guys.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
See ya. Have a great one.
Bye.
Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Bets will be up on Patreon, 10 p.m. Eastern. Thank you to everyone who hit the like button. Thank you to everyone who listened. Great show tonight. Thank you to everyone who joined on Patreon. Great seeing you guys. Been a great fucking week. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the college football. Enjoy the NFL.